Hey everyone, this is LuckySevenDX, and I have a bit of a dilemma. So I figure it's time to pull out a lifeline and do some Ask the Audience to help figure this out. Now, concerning this Dream Team, as many of you know, Dream Team will be the next project on this channel. I've hinted at it pretty heavily. I've hyped it up pretty heavily. I've announced it even in some places, so it's decently common knowledge at this point that Dream Team is coming, for better or worse. I mean, most of you seem to have really want this project. So, and obviously, you know, Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story were definitely some of my more successful projects, so I'm sure a lot of my audience, you know, came from those games, basically. So, obviously, Dream Team is highly anticipated and very much wanted on my channel, and I want to make sure I do it right. And there's a decision I have to make, a very major decision that's going to affect the entire project, that I'm not entirely sure which one the correct answer would be and which would make the better project. I'm probably split 40-60. I wouldn't say it's 50-50 at this point. And I'll tell you which one the 60 is when I get to the decision. But I figured, you know, like I said, I'll at least get you guys involved, so that way I can make sure the decision I make is also the decision that the audience wants as well. So the decision is, do I play the game on normal mode, or do I play the game on hard mode? Because I have both of these unlocked on my file, so I could do either one. Basically, the difference between the two, normal mode, obviously, you're just playing the game as it's originally intended. The con of that is it tends to be pretty easy, and there's definitely ways to break the game that are necessary for hard mode, which is kind of cool, that I can show how to sort of bypass the increased difficulty by doing all these different tactics. But on the other hand, I mean, it's the normal game. It's going to be a lot less stressful, necessarily. It'll be a lot less grinding as well. And especially for post-game stuff. Now, the difference between normal and hard mode. Basically, hard mode has limited items, but that's not really a big deal because I don't really tend to use items anyway. So if anything, that incentivizes me to use items more, and that doesn't really... The items is not a big factor. Enemies do dramatically more damage. We're talking like the first enemies in the game doing 2 damage on normal mode and doing 14 damage on hard mode when you have 24 health. You die really fast if you screw up, which is going to be actually a fun challenge, and there's ways to bypass that difficulty for sure. So that as well is not really a factor. I can definitely handle that part of it, and if anything, it makes the playthrough more exciting. So perhaps a point to hard mode there. However, it also has the enemies have increased defense or health, whatever it is. It makes the fights take longer, regardless. Which means it'll definitely be a bit of a slower project. Bosses will probably take, you know, it'll be like Partners in Time again. Bosses will take, you know, a good portion of a video probably to do each boss. They definitely take a lot more punishment, I've noticed. So, which will become less and less of a factor later on when I have more PvP and I can spam special attacks. As like in Partners in Time, I think it became less of a factor later on as well. But, you know, it will kind of have a bit of Partners in Time syndrome, where the boss fights will take a bit longer than they would have in a normal mode play file. So, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I'm asking you guys. What would you want to see in terms of that? Otherwise, the biggest concerns about hard mode that I have are certain fights that I'm not going to spoil. I don't want to spoil anything for the game, but there are certain fights where you don't really have your level. You can't. I can't grind necessarily to overcome any sort of ridiculousness. Instead, it's more of a wonky control. You have to kind of battle against really wonky controls in a setting where you have to be fairly close to perfect in order to actually succeed. And I can't grind levels or anything to actually bypass this. I actually have to just get good. But it's get good with really subpar controls, unfortunately. And those are the ones that are going to be the biggest concern, is there are certain fights in the game that are going to end up being, I think, a bit more tedious and almost require perfection to do. Now, I probably can handle that. I've certainly handled things that require perfection before. I'm definitely, you know, better than the average bear when it comes to gaming, I would hope. So I definitely can rise up to that challenge. The problem becomes, in the post-game content, they have harder versions of pretty much all of the fights of the game. Yes, slight spoilers, it's necessary to explain this to really understand the dilemma. These harder versions of those fights require absolute perfection, to a point that I don't know if it's going to be worth doing. In addition, I'll have to grind a lot more for the post-game content as well. So, if I increase the difficulty now, it might end up just kind of hurting the overall post-game content in a sense that it might make it really either a really huge grind fest or just outright impossible to do this post-game content without, losing my mental sanity. So, the question becomes then, is just a normal playthrough what people want to see, or do you want to see me go all out and have to pretty much break the game, do a bit of extra grinding, so on and so forth, but we'll be able to do it on hard mode and pretty much conquer the game on its hardest difficulty? What, in your opinion, makes for a better playthrough? The normal, just sort of easy project, or the super challenging, but possibly a bit grindy and possibly preventing me from 100%ing the post-game content? Okay. I will 100% the post-game content if it shows off something new. There are certain parts of the post-game content that I could do that wouldn't necessarily show off anything new. And those are the biggest concern parts. The parts where, it will actually show off a new fight, those I will show off no matter what because it's a new fight and it's necessary. I will do whatever it takes, and those ones I can literally just grind until I get good enough. So at least there's an out for those. So really that's the big difference there, is normal mode is going to be just an easier, just sort of simpler project. I don't have to really go out of my way to break the game, which is, I don't know if I like that actually, because I like breaking the game. So if there's a cheap tactic to use, I would want to show it off, and hard mode gives me a very good excuse to show off all those cheap tactics. On the same note though, do you want to see the game, do you want to see a playthrough where there will probably be game overs because of stupid screw-ups, where the boss fights will take a lot longer to do just because they have a lot more health? It could just be a lot of showing off the same bro attacks over and over again, dodging the same moves over and over again for an extra, 5 minutes per se, per boss. Is that going to end up being boring to people? Do you think hard mode is not really the kind of... Do you not want to see a hard mode playthrough? Do you want to see a more normal sort of playthrough? Or do you want to see Dream Team in the light of just, intense challenge mode? So on and so forth. I'm 40-60. The 60 is actually on hard mode, because I do like the challenge of it, and I do like the fact that I actually get to break up the game. But 40-60 isn't really enough for me to be comfortable making such a huge decision on such a monumental and really highly anticipated project without bringing it up to you guys. You're the audience. You're very important to me. And this game is obviously important to a lot of people. You guys have expectations of me to make the kind of project that you want to see. Therefore, I want to hear your guys' opinions. I am 40-60, so it is going to take a lot more than just a, 51-49 split for me to actually choose normal mode over hard mode. But if there's a majority of people who give good arguments for why normal mode would make for a better project, I will certainly listen to it. That being said, if a lot of you are like, you know what, go for hard mode, if, I have to do grinding off screen at some points, if I have to delay episodes, maybe not necessarily make it daily 100% of the time just because I have to take a little bit of extra time to grind or to just learn the fights better, because I imagine these practice attempts are going to probably be full of failure, and it's going to take me a few attempts for some of these bosses to even learn how to do them properly. There's a few bosses in the future that at hard mode that really concern me a lot, because they were hard to do on normal mode, and on hard mode they're going to be really, really, really unforgiving. So I guess, what do you guys think? I'm curious. I want to know what the audience thinks of normal mode versus hard mode. Leave your opinions in the comment section below. I would appreciate it immensely. I actually have to head out for pretty much most of the day today, but when I get back, I will be doing the first recording and try to have it out tomorrow, and even possibly later tonight, depending. So, I guess let me know your opinions. I'll be reading the comments when I get back home later today, and then I will be getting to work on the project. So, that's the game plan, guys. My voice is dying, apparently. That's weird. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all of your opinions, and we'll make this decision together this time. Sounds like a good game plan. This is Lucky7DX signing out. See you guys very soon for some Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Bye-bye.